What drives human beings to call the most inhospitable corners of Earth home? From frozen wastelands where temperatures plummet to minus 70 degrees, to scorching deserts where the ground itself can cook an egg, people don't just survive in these places, they thrive, building communities, raising families, and creating cultures that have endured for generations. Today, we're journeying to 20 of the most extreme human settlements on our planet. These aren't temporary research stations or adventure tourism spots. These are places where real people wake up every morning, go to work, send their kids to school, and live full lives in conditions that would seem absolutely impossible to most of us. Buckle up, because some of these places will completely change your perspective on human resilience. Location 1. Oymyakon, Russia. Our journey begins in the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. Oymyakon, Russia. Nestled in Siberia's Sakha Republic, this village of about 500 souls experiences winter temperatures that regularly drop below minus 60 degrees Celsius. The coldest temperature ever recorded here? A bone-chilling minus 67.7 degrees Celsius in 1933. Imagine a place so cold that your breath freezes instantly into ice crystals. Where car engines must run 24 hours a day during winter because if they stop, they'll never start again. Where the ground is permafrost, permanently frozen soil making traditional plumbing impossible. Residents must use outhouses year-round even when it's colder outside than inside most people's freezers. But here's what's remarkable. The people of Oymyakon don't see themselves as suffering. They hunt, fish through thick ice, and maintain a diet rich in frozen fish and reindeer meat. Children attend school unless temperatures drop below minus 52 degrees. Life continues because humans are extraordinary adapters. The name Oymyakon actually means unfrozen patch of water, referring to a nearby hot spring that remains liquid even in the brutal cold. A reminder that even in Earth's harshest environments, life finds a way. Location 2. Dalol, Ethiopia. From the coldest, we travel to one of the hottest, Dalol, Ethiopia. This former mining settlement in the Danakil Depression holds the record for the highest average annual temperature ever recorded, 34 degrees Celsius. But that average doesn't capture the reality of summer days exceeding 50 degrees Celsius. Dalol isn't just hot, it's alien. The landscape looks like something from another planet, with sulfur springs creating pools of brilliant yellow and green, salt formations that resemble ice sculptures, and acid ponds with pH levels near zero. The air itself can be toxic, filled with sulfurous gases that would make most people violently ill. Though permanent settlement is minimal today, the Afar people have adapted to this environment for thousands of years. They mine salt in conditions that would hospitalize most outsiders within hours. Workers wrap their heads in cloth, leaving only their eyes exposed, and they work in short shifts because longer exposure could prove fatal. They navigate a landscape where the ground temperature can exceed 70 degrees Celsius, hot enough to cause severe burns through shoe soles. Yet the Afar people have developed sophisticated knowledge systems for surviving here. They know which hours are safest for work, where to find underground water sources, and how to read the subtle signs of the desert that mean the difference between life and death. Location 3. La Rinconada, Peru. Now we ascend to the highest permanent human settlement on Earth, La Rinconada, Peru. At 5,100 meters above sea level, this gold mining town exists in the clouds, where the air contains 40% less oxygen than at sea level. 50,000 people live here, many having migrated from lower elevations in search of gold. But life at this altitude comes with severe costs. Altitude sickness is a constant threat. Residents experience chronic headaches, nausea, and shortness of breath. Children born here often have enlarged lungs and higher red blood cell counts. Evolutionary adaptations happening in real time. The town has no running water, no sewage system, and no waste management. Houses are cobbled together from corrugated metal and whatever materials miners can find. Temperatures regularly drop below freezing at night. Medical facilities are minimal, which is particularly dangerous given that altitude-related complications can be deadly without proper treatment. Miners work under a medieval system called cachorreo. They work for 30 days without pay, and on the 31st day, they can take home whatever gold they can carry. Some strike it rich, most don't. But the dream of gold keeps people here, living in conditions that test the absolute limits of human endurance. The most haunting aspect: the glaciers that once dominated the landscape are melting due to climate change, and with them, the gold veins are becoming exposed. This draws even more people to an already strained and dangerous environment. Location 4: Tristan da Cunha. Let's journey to the most remote inhabited archipelago on Earth, Tristan da Cunha. This British territory in the South Atlantic Ocean sits 2,400 kilometers from the nearest continental land. The 260 residents of Edinburgh of the Seven Seas, the main settlement, are more isolated than astronauts on the International Space Station. Supplies arrive by boat only 8 to 10 times per year, and the journey takes nearly a week from South Africa. There's no airport because the island's terrain is too mountainous and unstable. Medical emergencies requiring advanced care mean a patient must wait days for a ship, if one is available, or hope for a military vessel to divert course. The island's volcano erupted in 1961, forcing complete evacuation to England. Remarkably, most residents returned 2 years later, choosing isolation on their island over modern convenience elsewhere. Why? Because Tristan offers something increasingly rare: a tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone, where doors are never locked, and where the connection to place runs deeper than comfort. Residents survive on fishing, subsistence farming, and selling postage stamps and crayfish to collectors and markets thousands of kilometers away. They've developed their own accent, a unique blend of British, American, and other influences from the diverse sailors who settled there centuries ago. Location 5: Coober Pedy, Australia. Beneath the scorching surface of the Australian outback lies Coober Pedy, a town where most residents live underground. This opal mining community experiences summer temperatures exceeding 50 degrees Celsius, with sandstorms that can strip paint off vehicles. The solution? Dig down. About 60% of Coober Pedy's 1,800 residents live in dugouts, homes carved directly into the hillsides. Underground, the temperature remains a comfortable 22 to 24 degrees Celsius year-round, requiring no heating or cooling. These aren't primitive caves. Underground Coober Pedy features hotels, churches, museums, and even a golf course, though it's played at night with glowing balls and without a blade of grass. The Serbian Orthodox Church, carved entirely underground in the 1990s, features intricate stonework and stained glass, proving that even in extreme environments, humans create beauty and meaning. Above ground, the landscape looks post-apocalyptic. Mullock heaps, piles of excavated rock, surround thousands of old mining shafts. Signs warn visitors to watch their step, as falling into an abandoned shaft could mean death. Yet residents navigate this terrain with ease, their entire economy built on extracting the world's finest opals from ancient seabeds that dried up millions of years ago. The town's name comes from the Aboriginal phrase Kupapiti, meaning white man's hole, an apt description for a community that has literally burrowed into the earth to survive. Location 6: Supai, Arizona, USA. Deep in the Grand Canyon lives the Havasupai tribe in the village of Supai, the most remote community in the contiguous United States. No roads reach this settlement of approximately 200 people. The only access is by helicopter, on foot via a 16-kilometer trail, or by mule. Mail arrives by mule train. Supai is the only place in the United States where mail is still delivered this way. Everything from groceries to building materials must be packed in by mule or helicopter. A gallon of milk that costs $4 elsewhere might cost $12 here after transportation costs. Medical emergencies require helicopter evacuation, weather permitting. During monsoon season or winter storms, the village can be cut off completely. Yet the Havasupai people, whose name means people of the blue-green waters, have lived in this canyon for at least 800 years. They remain here because this isn't just their home, it's their ancestral land, sacred and irreplaceable. The stunning turquoise waterfalls of Havasu Creek provide spiritual significance and have recently become a tourist draw, providing income for the tribe. But tourism also brings challenges: erosion, overcrowding, and the constant balance between economic opportunity and cultural preservation. The children of Supai attend a local school until 8th grade, then must board elsewhere for high school, a wrenching decision for families deeply connected to their land. Location 7. Barrow, Utqiagvik, Alaska, USA. At the northernmost point of the United States lies Utqiagvik, formerly known as Barrow. 4,000 people live here, where the sun doesn't rise above the horizon for 65 consecutive days each winter and doesn't set for 83 days during summer. Temperatures can plummet to minus 50 degrees Celsius, with wind chills reaching minus 65. Supplies arrive by plane or barge during the brief summer shipping season. A gallon of milk costs around $10. A head of lettuce? $8. Fresh produce is precious because it must be flown in year-round. The Inupiat people have inhabited this region for over 1,500 years, developing extraordinary survival skills. Traditional whaling remains central to their culture and diet. When a bowhead whale is caught, the entire community participates in harvesting and distributing the meat, a practice that ensures everyone survives the harsh winters. But climate change threatens everything. The Arctic is warming twice as fast as the rest of the planet. Sea ice that once protected the coast from storms now forms later and melts earlier, causing severe erosion. Houses are falling into the sea. Permafrost that buildings rest upon is thawing, causing structures to buckle and collapse. Despite these challenges, residents fiercely defend their choice to stay. This land holds their history, their identity, and their future. They're adapting again, just as their ancestors did for millennia. Location 8, Longyearbyen, Svalbard, Norway. Welcome to Longyearbyen, the world's northernmost permanent settlement with a population over 1,000. Located on Norway's Svalbard archipelago, just 1,300 kilometers from the North Pole, this coal mining town of about 2,000 residents experiences 4 months of total darkness each winter. Here's where things get unusual. It's illegal to die in Longyearbyen. Well, not exactly illegal, but if you're terminally ill, you'll be sent to mainland Norway. Why? Because bodies don't decompose in the permafrost, and the ground is too frozen to dig proper graves. The small cemetery stopped accepting burials in the 1930s. It's also illegal to go outside town limits without carrying a rifle. Polar bears outnumber humans in Svalbard, and they're apex predators with no fear of people. Warning signs show polar bear silhouettes, reminding everyone that wildlife here can be deadly. Despite the darkness and danger, Longyearbyen attracts adventurers, scientists, and those seeking something different. The settlement hosts the Global Seed Vault, a backup system for the world's crop diversity, tunneled deep into the permafrost. It's humanity's insurance policy against agricultural catastrophe. Residents embrace the extreme conditions with festivals during the polar night, northern lights viewing, and a surprisingly vibrant cultural scene. There's even a brewery and a chocolate factory, proving that humans bring their comforts to the most unlikely places. Location: 9 McMurdo Station, Antarctica. While not a traditional town, McMurdo Station in Antarctica deserves mention as the largest settlement on Earth's most extreme continent. During summer, about 1,000 people work here. In winter, that drops to around 250 who volunteer to winter over. These aren't permanent residents, but rather scientists, support staff, and researchers who choose to live at the bottom of the world for months at a time. Winter temperatures average minus 28 degrees Celsius, but can plummet far lower with wind chills reaching minus 70. During winter, the sun disappears completely for 4 months. Psychological challenges are severe. Isolation, darkness, and confinement lead to big eye, insomnia, and emotional struggles. Medical emergencies during winter are particularly terrifying because evacuation is nearly impossible. The winter over personnel include a doctor and dentist, but complex medical situations must wait months for the return of flights. Yet people returned season after season. Why? The scientific work is unparalleled, studying climate change, astronomy from the clearest skies on Earth, and biological extremes. But there's something else. A strange addiction to the extreme, a desire to test oneself against the ultimate challenge of living on the only continent with no indigenous human population. McMurdo has all the trappings of civilization: housing, a gym, a store, even a coffee shop. But everything exists precariously, entirely dependent on supply chains that operate during the brief summer months. Location 10, Sana'a, Yemen. At 2,300 meters elevation in the Arabian Peninsula lies Sana'a, one of the world's highest capital cities and among the oldest continuously inhabited cities on Earth, settled for over 2,500 years. 2 million people navigate life in this ancient city where extreme altitude combines with political instability and water scarcity. Sana'a faces an unprecedented crisis. It may become the first capital city in the world to completely run out of water. The aquifer supplying the city is being depleted at an alarming rate, with water tables dropping 6 meters annually. Climate change has reduced rainfall, while population growth has increased demand exponentially. Residents must purchase water from trucks, with poor families spending up to half their income on water alone. Wells that were once 20 meters deep now require drilling down over 1,000 meters. The altitude exacerbates health issues, particularly for children and the elderly who struggle with thinner air. Yet Sana'a persists. Its distinctive tower houses, some over 400 years old, rising like gingerbread castles featuring ornate geometric designs created from stone and fired brick. UNESCO designated Old Sana'a a World Heritage Site, recognizing its extraordinary architecture and cultural significance. The people of Sana'a endure because this city represents thousands of years of heritage. Families have lived in the same houses for 20 generations. Walking away means abandoning not just a home, but an irreplaceable connection to history itself. Location 11, Grise Fjord, Canada. Canada's northernmost civilian settlement, Grise Fjord in Nunavut, houses about 140 Inuit residents at 76 degrees north latitude. The name means place of no return in Norwegian, a hauntingly appropriate description for a place where the sun sets on October 24th and doesn't rise again until February 18th. The village has a dark history. In the 1950s, the Canadian government forcibly relocated Inuit families from northern Quebec to establish sovereignty in the high Arctic. Promised plentiful game and good living conditions, families instead found themselves in a barren, desperately cold environment with scarce resources. Many call it a genocide. Descendants of those relocated families remain, having adapted to extreme conditions through necessity. Winter temperatures average minus 35 degrees Celsius. The nearest town with more services is almost 900 kilometers away. Groceries arrive by annual supply ship in summer, and weekly flights, weather permitting, making a box of cereal cost $12. Polar bears regularly visit the town. Residents must check for bears before letting children walk to school. Yet the community maintains Inuit traditions, hunting seal, walrus, and narwhal, teaching their language to younger generations, and creating stunning art that documents their experience. They survive through communal support, sharing country food, traditional meat from the land, which provides necessary nutrients and reduces dependence on expensive imported food. Location 12, Cairo, Egypt, the City of the Dead. Within Cairo, one of the world's most densely populated cities, lies an extraordinary district called the City of the Dead, a vast Islamic necropolis where approximately 500,000 people live among tombs and mausoleums. This isn't a recent phenomenon. For decades, rural migrants and those priced out of Cairo's housing market have moved into cemetery structures originally built as family tombs, with rooms for visiting mourners. What began as temporary shelter became permanent homes. Residents have established a functioning community with mosques, schools, and markets. Electricity has been installed in many areas. Children play among ornate Islamic tombs, and families have carved out living spaces within structures designed to honor the dead. The surreal sight of laundry hanging between grave markers has made this place internationally known. The conditions are extreme in different ways: overcrowding, inadequate sanitation, social stigma, and the psychological weight of raising children in a graveyard. Yet residents speak of their neighborhood with pride. They've created community where society abandoned them, transforming death spaces into living ones. The Egyptian government has alternately tried to evict residents and provide services, creating legal limbo. But the fundamental problem remains. Cairo's housing crisis hasn't been solved, so the City of the Dead's population continues growing. These families demonstrate that extremity isn't always about temperature or isolation. Sometimes it's about creating dignity in spaces society considers uninhabitable. Location: 13. Churchill, Manitoba, Canada. Churchill, the polar bear capital of the world, sits on Hudson Bay's western shore where 900 residents share their territory with approximately 1,500 polar bears. During October and November, bears converge near town, waiting for the bay to freeze so they can hunt seals. This creates a unique problem: extreme wildlife danger. Residents never leave doors unlocked. Cars are left unlocked, so anyone fleeing a bear has quick shelter. A special Halloween protocol exists where parents patrol with rifles while children trick-or-treat. The town maintains a polar bear jail, a holding facility for bears that enter town, where they're detained without food, making Churchill an unpleasant memory before being released far from town. Beyond bears, Churchill faces typical Arctic challenges: no road access to southern Canada, supplies arriving by train or plane, winter temperatures reaching -40 degrees Celsius, and months of darkness. The town's population has declined as economic opportunities diminished after the military base closed and the port reduced operations. Yet Churchill has found new purpose through ecotourism. Thousands of visitors arrive annually to see polar bears, beluga whales in summer, and northern lights. This brings revenue but also tension. How do you balance economic need with environmental protection and resident safety? The people who remain love their town fiercely. They've learned to coexist with apex predators, understanding that they're the visitors in polar bear territory, not the other way around. Location 14. Iquitos, Peru. Iquitos, a city of nearly 500,000 people in the Peruvian Amazon, holds a remarkable distinction. It's the largest city in the world, inaccessible by road. The only ways to reach Iquitos are by plane or by boat along the Amazon River, a journey that can take several days from the nearest road-connected city. This isolation creates extreme challenges for a city of this size. All goods, from construction materials to consumer products, arrive by plane or boat, inflating prices dramatically. Fuel costs make electricity expensive. Medical emergencies requiring specialized care mean expensive flights to Lima. Economic opportunities are limited, creating poverty despite the city's size. The climate is extreme in its own right, crushing humidity approaching 100%, average temperatures around 26 degrees Celsius year-round with little variation, and intense rainfall that floods streets regularly. Buildings battle constant mold and decay. Metal rusts rapidly. The jungle literally tries to reclaim the city every day. Yet Iquitos thrives culturally as a hub for Amazon exploration, ayahuasca tourism, and is home to diverse indigenous groups who have migrated to the city while maintaining cultural traditions. The Belen Market, built partially on the river itself, floods annually but continues operating as families have for generations. Residents adapt to isolation through incredible self-sufficiency and a vibrant black market economy that keeps goods flowing regardless of official channels. The city proves that extreme isolation doesn't prevent urban development. It just makes it significantly more complicated. Location 15, Verkhoyansk, Russia. Returning to Siberia, Verkhoyansk competes with Oymyakon for the title of coldest inhabited place. This town of about 1,000 people has recorded winter temperatures of minus 67.8 degrees Celsius. But here's what makes Verkhoyansk uniquely extreme. It also experiences summer temperatures exceeding 37 degrees Celsius. That's a temperature range of over 100 degrees Celsius, one of the widest ranges on Earth. Residents must prepare for both deadly cold and, increasingly, significant heat. Climate change has brought record heat waves to the Arctic, causing permafrost to thaw, buildings to collapse, and forest fires to burn through formerly frozen landscapes. The psychological impact of such extremes is profound. Winter darkness, isolation, and brutal cold give way to brief, intense summers where the sun barely sets. Traditional Siberian cultures developed seasonal rhythms to cope, but modern residents struggle with mental health challenges exacerbated by extreme conditions. Children attend the local school, where special protocols exist for different temperature thresholds. Recess is canceled below certain temperatures, and school closes completely in only the most extreme conditions. Parents teach children from a young age how to recognize frostbite and hypothermia symptoms in themselves and others. The town's economy revolves around subsistence living, hunting, fishing, and small-scale agriculture during the brief summer. Jobs are scarce, forcing young people to leave. But those who remain speak of a deep connection to land that outsiders can barely comprehend. Location 16, Kulusuk, Greenland. On a small island off Greenland's east coast lies Kulusuk, home to approximately 250 Inuit people. The village serves as a gateway for tourists exploring Greenland, but for residents, it represents life at the edge of possibility. Winter ice closes the sea for months. Food security is precarious, relying on hunting, fishing, and periodic supply deliveries. Mental health and substance abuse issues plague the community, as they do throughout Greenland. The country has one of the world's highest suicide rates, particularly among young men. The causes are complex. Historical trauma from colonial oppression, loss of traditional culture, isolation, and the psychological impact of extreme seasonal darkness. In Kulusuk, months pass with minimal sunlight, contributing to seasonal affective disorder on a massive scale. Yet Kulusuk maintains traditional practices. Drum dancing, throat singing, and hunting skills passed through generations. Dog sledding isn't tourism, it's transportation and cultural identity. The connection between people and sled dogs represents thousands of years of interdependence. Climate change threatens everything. Warming temperatures mean thinner ice, making traditional hunting dangerous or impossible. Species that residents depend on are migrating or declining. The very landscape that shaped Inuit culture is transforming faster than adaptation can occur. Location 17, Death Valley, California, USA. Furnace Creek in Death Valley holds the record for the highest reliably recorded air temperature on Earth, 56.7 degrees Celsius in 1913. About 320 people live in this scorching valley, mostly working in tourism or park services. Summer is survival mode. Residents plan activities in early morning or evening. Cars require sunshades and careful parking. Steering wheels can become too hot to touch within minutes. Touching metal surfaces can cause severe burns. Dehydration happens alarmingly fast. Rangers regularly rescue tourists who underestimated the heat. Water is precious and expensive, pumped from underground sources and carefully managed. Air conditioning isn't luxury, it's life support. Power outages during heat waves constitute emergencies. Yet people choose this place for its stark, haunting beauty and solitude. The landscape offers something rare in modern America: true wilderness, genuine silence, and night skies unpolluted by light. For some residents, the extreme heat is a price worth paying for this experience. Location 18, Pompeii, Italy. Modern settlement. While ancient Pompeii was destroyed by Vesuvius in 79 AD, the modern town of Pompeii, with about 25,000 residents, sits adjacent to the archaeological site, in the direct danger zone of one of the world's most dangerous volcanoes. Vesuvius remains active. It last erupted in 1944, and volcanologists consider another eruption inevitable. When it occurs, it could affect over 3 million people living in the red zone. Yet families remain, having lived here for generations. The contradiction is extreme. People raising children directly beside a volcano that could erupt with minimal warning, potentially causing catastrophic damage. Why stay? Deep cultural roots, economic ties, and perhaps a Mediterranean fatalism that accepts risk as part of life. The Italian government has plans for evacuation, but moving millions of people quickly would be nearly impossible. Residents live with existential uncertainty, finding normalcy and proximity to destruction. Location: 19. North Sentinel Island, India. The Sentinelese people of North Sentinel Island in the Andaman Archipelago have chosen the most extreme form of isolation: complete rejection of contact with the outside world. Estimates suggest between 50 to 500 people inhabit the island, though exact numbers are impossible to confirm. They've violently resisted all contact attempts, killing intruders including a missionary in 2018. The Indian government now prohibits approach to the island, respecting their desire for isolation, making this one of the last places on Earth completely outside modern civilization. The extremity here isn't environmental but social, choosing complete isolation in a globally connected world. The Sentinelese maintain Stone Age technology by choice, not inability. They've observed airplanes and helicopters yet show no interest in that world. What drives such extreme isolation? Likely protective. Contact with outsiders previously brought disease and violence. Their isolation is their survival strategy. We may never understand their full story, and perhaps that's how it should be. They remind us that extreme living isn't always about enduring harsh conditions. Sometimes it's about choosing a path so radically different from modernity that it seems impossible to outsiders. Location 20. Tristan da Cunha, revisited. Edinburgh of the Seven Seas. We return to where we began thematically: isolation. Edinburgh of the Seven Seas on Tristan da Cunha represents humanity's determination to remain connected to places we love, regardless of logic or convenience. The residents are all descended from a handful of settlers. Everyone shares one of just 7 surnames. They govern themselves, share resources communally, and maintain one of the most egalitarian societies on Earth. There's no poverty, no homelessness, because the community wouldn't allow it. The economy revolves around fishing and selling Tristan lobster to markets in the United States and Japan. One factory processes the catch. If that factory closed, the island's economy would collapse. Yet nobody leaves permanently. The young people who go abroad for education typically return. Why? Because Tristan offers something increasingly rare: genuine community, where your neighbors aren't just neighbors but cousins, where everyone genuinely cares about everyone else, where the social fabric remains intact in ways most modern societies have lost. From frozen Siberian villages to scorching desert settlements, from isolated islands to underground towns, we've journeyed through 20 of the most extreme places humans call home. What have we learned? That human beings are the most adaptable species Earth has ever produced. We're not the strongest or fastest, but our ability to create culture, technology, and community in impossible environments is unmatched. These extreme settlements teach us profound lessons. First, that comfort is relative. What seems unbearable to outsiders is normal life to residents. Second, that connection to place can outweigh convenience. People remain in extreme environments because those places hold meaning, history, and identity that can't be replicated elsewhere. Third, and perhaps most importantly, these communities remind us that humanity's strength lies in our diversity of experience. Each extreme environment has produced unique adaptations, knowledge systems, and cultures. The Inuit understanding of ice, the Afar knowledge of desert survival, the Siberian resilience to cold, These represent irreplaceable human heritage. But many of these places face unprecedented threats from climate change. The Arctic is warming, glaciers are melting, traditional hunting grounds are transforming. Extreme places are becoming more extreme, and in some cases, uninhabitable even for people who've adapted over thousands of years. The question we must ask ourselves, as these communities face existential threats, what are we willing to do to preserve the diversity of human experience and the knowledge these cultures hold? These 20 locations represent just a fraction of Earth's extreme inhabited environments. Millions more people worldwide live in places that challenge our assumptions about what's possible. They're not suffering or surviving, they're living rich, meaningful lives in environments they consider home. So the next time you think your commute is rough or your weather is unbearable, remember the people of Omiaken starting their frozen cars at -60 degrees? The residents of La Rinconada gasping in thin mountain air? Or the community of Tristan da Cunha, months away from the nearest continent? Human beings don't just survive extreme conditions. We find ways to thrive, to create beauty, to build communities, and to maintain hope in places that would break lesser spirits. That's not just remarkable, it's inspiring. And it's a testament to the incredible resilience and adaptability of our species. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through extreme human settlements fascinating, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Which of these locations surprised you most? Could you imagine living in any of them? Let us know. Until next time, stay curious about the extraordinary world we inhabit and the remarkable people who call every corner of it home.